Parquet here with VPX Baseball, and today we're going to start lesson 1 on the components of velocity, right? Velocity is one of the tools that is basically, it's the #1 tool. If you don't have velocity, you've got to utilize command and off speeds and all kinds of other stuff in order to be successful on this mound. But at the end of the day, moving to the next level is truly based upon velocity, right? You have to think about this because the hand speeds and power are superior to travel baseball or high school at that next level. Then you've got to have a fastball that actually commands not only the zone in certain vectors, but also can overmatch or overpower hand speed. If you are what we call under hitting speed, then basically a good hitter, can turn you into a one-pitch pitcher by basically sitting off speed, and then when you throw the fastball, that matches up to his hand speed, and off it goes, right? So, not saying you can't pitch at that next level, but getting into that system, it's going to be real tough if you don't have velo. So we're going to talk about what those aspects are to creating impact velocity, because here at VPX, we really focus on impact pitching, not just getting it out or being successful in travel baseball. Are you going to move on to that next level, okay? So I'm a former big league pitcher, obviously. I feel like I have a good understanding of what it takes from this portion of the mound, as well as from the box, the coaching box, because I consult at the MLB level, I train at the major Division I college level, and it's given me a good perspective on why I was successful, let alone kind of in today's game and how you can be successful, right? So the first aspect of creating velocity, right, when you're on a mound in your delivery is going to be your balance and your tempo, right? So if I talk about this, right, where this would be balance and then coming up and swaying would be lack of balance, we know those are very basic and rudimentary, but realistically, balance is staying over your back hip. I always talk about, since us pitchers go on a slope, riding our bike down the slope, right? We've got one wheel on the bike as we're moving down. If I come off that, right, I'm going to endo and do this, right? And obviously, where does the energy go? It goes sideways, and I get drag arm, right? And then we miss high arm side a lot, or we hold on to the ball longer and dirt it, okay? Basically, it flattens you off, because if I get here, look where balance would be. That's about balance, and athletic balance is where it is. This is not going to be where you're balanced if you're coming forward, okay? You're going to be somewhere in here, drag arm, and then what do you have to do? You got to pull it through, right? So if we look at that, it's going to be like this. Head goes, and the arm goes back, right? We could do that again here, just to kind of show you. All right, I'm going to come up here, and my head is going to go at the target first. I have to get sideways and get more this way in order to be successful. But if my head stays over my back hip into foot strike, it gives my arm time to stay connected and be able to load properly and develop the entire arm stroke. That's the key. Is giving yourself enough time to develop the arm stroke, and it starts with your head staying over your back hip into foot strike, right? So I'm going to be right here. I'm going to keep my head over. Notice I'm able to clear, right? I'm able to bring it up, and then at the right moment, I can use my back elbow and back knee together, staying connected, which is very important, right? So again, this would be correct with your head. Back, okay? Just nice and easy going into it. This would be incorrect where the head goes forward. Notice how I have to drop and get sideways, okay? So first component, making sure your head rides your back hip into foot strike, right? Why do we do that? Really simple. I've got to create energy, right? So energy, force, right? That's the force load or energy load. Is going to be mass, how big you are, times acceleration, right? So if I've got a big body, I don't have to accelerate as fast. If I've got a smaller body like myself, I've got to accelerate more. Now I can exponentially improve it, whether I'm big or small, by supporting the energy into foot strikes. So we've got to create energy, we've got to support it. This head over my back hip is the support portion of energy, right? Then when my front foot hits or really close to that, then I've got to use it at the right time, boom, right? And that's the hips opening up that are supporting, right? The back hip is supporting the arm, and then we extend and go, okay? So we've got to create, support, and use at the right time. So we just explained the support portion. Let's work on create, okay? The more that you're here and you move, the harder it's going to be because you're swaying so much, right? We want to take all this energy on the bottom and concentrate it. So I always tell guys to just be short, just like that. Instead of this big type of thing where we're going and we're starting to move in different planes, we have to do too much to be successful. That's why you see a lot of guys, they're just right here, boom, okay? Because today's game is about velo, and most of the time guys are up and go, right? So if I'm up and go, well, I can't have extra movements going on. So whether I'm right here and I go, okay? Or I'm right here, I'm a hold guy and then I go, it doesn't really matter. The extra movements have to get out of the way because it makes pitching a lot more complicated, all right? So when we're going, what we call our leg kick or our load out, right, so to speak, we want to make sure that we are getting in a position that optimizes driving with that front hip, okay? We don't want to start opening up the gate because then that gets us sideways and our head has to go, right? So when we're creating the energy, we want to be able to optimize, be in a preset position to optimize drive with this front hip. So if I'm going to do it, right, if I'm a leg kick hold guy, right, it would be like this. And then I drive. So I'll throw a pitch, drive. If I'm just an up and go kind of guy, then watch my front hip. Okay. Same thing. But basically I'm optimizing. The best way to start on this is to have a straight line from your head down to your toe. Boom. Right there, okay? This right here creates issues because it gets me this way. Too much gets me this way, right? Okay, so make sure that we start with our head, straight line from head to toe, and then we can drive that way, right? And ultimately you can just speed it up, right? Here's boom, right here, and I can go, okay? So preset so that you can set yourself up to drive with that front hip, which helps your head stay over your back hip or your bike, or you're riding your bike into front foot strike, okay? Now we get into front foot strike or almost close to it. Bottom line is this, if you land toe, that's fine. Open, it don't matter. Just make sure that the hips are pointed straight, okay? So we have to not only create and support the energy, but we've got to hold it back to create balanced force to be able to go forward. That's just a simple scientific theorem with Sir Isaac Newton's laws of motion. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Energy doesn't get destroyed; it dissipates into opposite movement planes and that kind of stuff. And that's why a lot of times when we get out front of the pitch, we will go sideways because the energy has to go down and to the side. Okay. So when we're doing this, shoulder to hip separation, that's this action, right? This action right here. So I'm just exaggerating it, but you notice I'm closed, okay? Also, my back hip is down and my shoulder is back. We have to get that. It's just like a hitter, boom, right? So if we don't have hip to shoulder separation, or you could call it shoulder to hip separation, either one, basically this is what it would look like. They come together rather than land, boom. Right? We want that action, not that action. Because this right here is a decel motor pattern, right? So if you did it incorrectly, they work together, as you can see, right? If you do it correctly, you're going to actually drive your back hip underneath you, because here's the science behind it. If I'm working down slow, I've got to go forward because my head's going to go there, right? Because slope pushes your head this way. right? So if my head's gonna go here, I have to either keep my head back more or get my hip underneath me and ahead of me here so that when we come down, right, the hip comes here, head goes, and then it pops it up, right? So I have support down at the bottom. Or I can work this way, one or the other. It's easier to push the hip underneath you, which looks like this, right? I did it on purpose and threw the ball high so you can see kind of that power sail, right? If you've got good hip to shoulder separation, you're gonna have a good power sail on the back end. So it's gonna be this action here, right? That action, boom. That's what you're gonna see a lot more of compared to guys who don't throw as much are gonna be more like this. But if you look at any big leaguer who's got juice, you see a big power sail on the back end, and then the front end is really long, right? The more that we get like this on the front end where we're like that, we flatten out this back end, which creates a lot of problems for us because basically we're doing this and they're coming open too early. So a good power sail, right? I'm going slow and trying to exaggerate it for you here. One more time, you can see the length that I'm getting, right? And notice when I'm doing this, my hands are just there, right? I'm getting length being there. I'm not doing it this way, but I'm doing it linear, right? Very important, boom, right? And what that does is it creates this, and then therefore you know the elastic energy is really what explodes the power, and then off we go. You can call it a catapulting effect, elastic energy. There's a bunch of terms for it, but basically the longer the power sail, or the deeper the power sail, right? Shallow, deep, the better you're gonna be, right? Here's a deep one. Right? I'm using the same energy or effort, but the ball is exploding out of my hand because I've got more energy that's just wailing into this front side. So in review, get into a preset position when you're in your leg kick that optimizes you being able to drive with this front hip, okay? Second one, after you start driving, next component is gonna be making sure you ride your bike down slope, keep your head over your back hip as you go, okay? Third one, the deeper your power sail, or the more that you can get here to where your hips are in front, or at least supporting the entire time, the better opportunity, right, you have to throw hard, because it keeps you, for the last one, loaded longer. So therefore you're optimizing your hip to shoulder separation, right? Boom. And notice how quiet I am on the top. I'm not like this, right? But I'm quiet on the top, okay? So if I stay loaded into foot strike, this is what it'll sound like. You're gonna hear a thump, throw, compared to throw, thump, or together, okay? So watch this. Here's I'm gonna be ahead of it. You're gonna see me release, and I'm gonna hit, okay? Basically like that. You can see how quickly the arm comes up. You watch big league pitchers, the arm stays down a long time, but my arm's gonna come up quickly. Okay? One more time, I'll even drive with my front hip here, right? We'll drive. All right? So you can see I'm a little ahead of it with my release point. I'm not staying loaded long enough, okay? Now, if I stomp and throw, I'll try to do it properly. Difference, right? What happens, it gives my arm time to load and torque, and then crunches it all or coils it so that it spring loads out with the energy, right? Again, here we go. I'm gonna land and then go. Right? So you kind of get the idea. It's not gonna be where you land and then go, but you need to feel your front foot almost touching, and then you release. Now, ultimately speaking, pitchers don't land and then go, right? You're gonna have to find that timing, but bottom line is, the later you can do it, the harder you're gonna throw, okay? Now, after we get all of that, there's one aspect that will help kind of put it all together. That's chest out the entire way. Stand tall, here, 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 here. So I talk about connecting the dots. I'm 5'10". 5'10", 5'9", 5'8", 5'7", 5'6", 5'5", 5'4". right? It's connecting the dots. Compared to 5'10", 5'9", 5'8", 5'4", 5'3", 5'2", right? You see where I'm going? So I can't sit here, do this, and pop up. Got to stay here, stay loaded, and work and try to match or parallel the mound slope with your head. So what we do in order to be successful at that is we stay chest out the entire time. Chest out, boom. Because chest out is an exhale motor pattern. When we get here and we set up, we can be chest out and then we set up. Chest in is a decel motor pattern, and basically it's going to be a cross lift rather than an extension, right? Here, just think, okay? From here, this feels balanced. Right here. This is where I work. This is great, okay? Chest in, it's going to be here, that'll be dirted, or back. This actually feels best when I'm chest in. Chest out, chest in. Chest out, chest in. And you can see how my arm works, right? That's good. This isn't. That's going to be jag arm, chest in. And it's just balancing itself. I'm not doing that on purpose. It just moves that way because of how the body moves. So chest in, too early, would be this. Right? You can see I'm trying to exaggerate when my shoulders are forward. I'm not standing tall as long as I can. I'm not connecting the dots. Chest out would be this. Right? So I'm nice and free. Chest out frees up your arm, and as long as you have support underneath, man, you can whip and torque. Okay? 4 or 5 different components that are really important in your delivery to help you through your process. I know I probably talked a little longer, but explaining all these components is very important to pitching, right? Because velocity is for sure the number one mound tool and the one that gets paid the most. Hopefully you like this. Give us a like, and we got a full line of products on our website to get you to the big leagues.